Hello, everyone. Welcome in. I will wait a few minutes for everyone to join the call, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, and for everyone that's joining the call, if you are able to, please drop in the chat where you're calling in from. So, what city, state, country, where are you calling in from today? Okay, I see Arlington, Virginia, Canada. Is it Lima? I think I'm saying that correctly. Utah, Chile, Texas, Orlando. Okay, it's people from all over. We got another Virginia, New York City. Hey, welcome everyone. All right, we're gonna wait a little bit and then we're gonna go ahead and get started with our panel. All right, hello everyone. Thank you for joining our call today. So this is the Masters of Science in Environment and International Affairs current student panel. We appreciate all of you taking the time to join this call. It's very close to the holiday weekend, so it is great for you to speak with us today, as well as our current students in our program. So, a couple of housekeeping rules. We will be having a short presentation as well as the current student panel. So, please mute yourself for the duration of the visuals. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat. And we'll have time to go over all the questions at the end. All right, so my name is Shannon Holback. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions and Marketing for the Master of Science in Environment and International Affairs program, also known as MS-EIA. So I work when it comes to the admissions department, as well as creating marketing initiatives. And I take the time to speak with and help prospective students such as yourself learn more about our program. And prior to my time here at Georgetown, I received my bachelor's and my master's from the University of Central Florida in Orlando. So to the top left is going to be Dr. Marcus King. He is the program director of MS-EIA. Then we have to the top right, Lindsay Jameson. She is the associate director of sorry, Associate Director of Marketing and Recruitment. And then to the bottom left is going to be Kristen Nieves, which is the program coordinator for the MS-EIA program. All right, so before we go into the panel, I'm just going to talk a little bit about our program. So this is the MS-EIA program. It is a one-year master's degree here at Georgetown University, and we are currently in our first cohort. So our program director saw a unique opportunity among master's programs and future career needs to develop a program that uses international dimensions of global environmental challenges through interdisciplinary training at the intersection of environmental science and international affairs. So our mission is to educate future leaders such as yourself that are interested in addressing the most pressing global environmental challenges through policy. So we have three pillars of the MS-EIA program. So the first one is the interdisciplinary education. So MS-EIA's unique interdisciplinary approach is based on offering coursework that synthesizes natural sciences and international affairs. So students will be taking core courses with top caliber faculty from the Wash School of Foreign Service and the Herb Commons Institute, and the option to take elective courses through other schools of the university. Next, we have the skills development and career outcomes. So as a student of the MS-EIA program, you will emerge equipped with the latest environmental science and analytical tools, viewed through the complex lens of international affairs, ready to pursue degrees in public, nonprofit, and private organizations. And in addition, you will have access to the School of Foreign Service Career Center, will help you with networking and finding the best position for your skill set after graduation. And what's really cool about the WASH School of Foreign Service Career Center is you have access to the Career Center for life, meaning that it's not just an opportunity for you as a student or 1 year post-graduation, it is for life. So years down the road, you can always go back to them for networking opportunities as well as using their resources. And finally is the Washington, D.C. access. So MS-EIA harnesses the university's academic strengths and resources and strategic DC location to serve the common good. So DC is surrounded by government and international-based organizations such as the World Bank, NGOs, and other state departments that are going to be working on the same issues that you'll be studying. All right, and then we have the capstone course. So the MS-EIA program does have a capstone course that is held over the summer each year. And this is an opportunity for you to just use your knowledge and skills that you have acquired throughout the year in a small group-based consulting project. And during the project, you will be working on real-world problems and present your findings to organizational leadership. And the capstone is going to be remotely held, which gives you the opportunity to travel abroad for research if applicable. And our program does have funding for international travel if students are interested in that opportunity. All right, so I'm going to show this short video. It is our MS-EIA student testimonials.
What inspired us to create this master's program? We saw the unique opportunity to create one that really blended the interdisciplinary nature of science along with international policy. And we're able to do this in a very exciting place here at Georgetown.
I chose to study at Georgetown University because of the expertise in international affairs, the location in Washington, D.C., and the expert faculty. The access that you have to the world of international affairs is unparalleled with Georgetown's location, and that allows the learning to take place far outside of the classroom.
I've really been surprised in my experience with this program by how much I've learned inside the classroom, but also how much I've learned from my peers. Being able to sit in classes with people who have different expertise has really been nourishing and has really enhanced my experience here at Georgetown.
There are just a variety of people who have the same level of care and investment in really making change on these issues, and a whole diverse set of expertise that, when combined with the thoughtfulness of the curriculum, just really broadens your experience.
I would say
with the science and the policy aspects of things.
I wanted something that would allow me to work on global environmental policy, specifically working at the intersection of environmental science and international affairs, and the MS-EIA program allows me to do just that.
So whether it's the World Bank or the State Department or many other headquarters, we really find ourselves here at the intersection of business, policy, and NGOs, all focused on the environment.
All right, I'm sorry about that if you weren't able to watch the video. Hopefully you were able to listen to it. Was everyone able to hear the video? Yes, okay, perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go into our current student panel. So we do have 3 students of our current cohort here on the call today. So what we're gonna do is go around and have each of them introduce themselves. So we can start with Miriam, and then Sarah, and then go into Naomi. Basically, you'll just say your name, where you're originally from, and where you studied prior to Georgetown, as well as what you studied there.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon, and thank you everyone else for being here. My name is Miriam. I'm originally from California, and I did my undergrad at UC Irvine, and I double majored in environmental science and policy and international relations.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Dannon. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I did my undergrad at Santa Clara University in California, and I studied political science, environmental studies, and economics.
Hi, everyone. My name is Naomi Kakusi. I'm originally from Rwanda, East Africa. I studied at Hollins University in Virginia, a small historically women's college, and I double majored in environmental studies and public health.
All right, thank you. So we're going to go into our $1 million question, which is why the MS-EIA program? So first, this is going to be a two-parter, which is what motivated you to go into this particular field? And then what made you choose to go into the MS-EIA program? Oh,
Well,
and
I can
anybody
go
can
first.
start.
Yeah. So as I stated before, like my background is in environmental science and international relations. And in undergrad, I didn't really get to take a class that intersected both of those programs together. And the MSCIA program did just that. I knew that I wanted to go into a field where I'm in the forefront of, the challenge of, climate change and so the MSCIA program is takes an approach where you integrate both the international relations and environmental science together, like so bridging being that bridge for like science diplomacy because as you know it's two different fields, right? And they never intersect. And so the MSCIA program does exactly that. And that's what I was looking for in a graduate program.
I can jump in. I'm going to be reiterating a lot of what Miriam said. For me, so as I mentioned, my background was really environmental policy, environmental economics. But before coming to this program, I also worked for a little bit. I worked for a member of California's Air Resources Board, so I was doing some state policy work. And one of the things that sparked my interest most in the work I was doing was the need for interagency collaboration in order to address a lot of these issues. As we all know, they're incredibly intersectional in nature, whether you're talking about the intersection between science and international affairs or intersections with public health, community planning, all these different areas. So for me, what I was looking for in a master's program was something that would really train me to work at that interdisciplinary intersection and guide that collaborative dialogue. Um, and that's a really big part of this program because you get not only do you get those foundations in the science as well as the international affairs, but you're also really trained with the intention of working at their intersection, as Miriam was talking about. Um, and then also the fact that it's a 1 year program, it's really the perfect way to get very specific training that prepares you to jump right into the field afterwards.
I definitely um, resonate with and Sarah. I was also interested in the intersectionality aspect of the environment, but also health and also security, which is one of the dynamics that the MSEIA program provides. Um, but another important thing for me was also a program that helped me translate science and scientific information to policy, because there is that gap that exists within a lot of governments globally. And so that was very key. That's something that really attracted me.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we're going to go into our next topic, which is going to be insight into courses and curriculum. So I'd just like you to go around and just talk about your current schedule or your previous schedule for the fall semester, which is how many days out of the week did you have classes, and were they more daytime hours or evening?
Yeah. Well, I can go first. So as with Sarah and Naomi, the case as well. So we each take 4 classes. So 2 of them are our core classes, which is Science of Global Environmental Challenges, and then the other one is Global Environmental Politics. And then you have your 2 electives, and those electives you can choose depending on what concentration you're going into. So for example, I'm in the first concentration of Energy, Technology, and Policy. So my 2 electives were energy security and international negotiations. And for me, I had classes Monday through Friday, and they were kind of a mix. So there's some that were in the afternoon and some that were in the morning. So I was able to schedule my time, like my study hours and like work around that. So that's just a little brief overview.
For me, so same core classes as Miriam, and then I'm also in the concentration in energy, technology, and policy. So my two electives, one was deep decarbonization, so how to decarbonize all the hard to abate sectors, aviation, shipping, concrete. And then the other one was global energy transition and modeling, so learning how to model the clean energy transition. For me, I only had classes this past semester 3 days a week. It was just Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesdays and Fridays free. They were also a bit spread out. I did have one of my classes was an evening class, which was 6:30 to 9:30. And that will be the case, especially when you have professors who are professionals working in the field who are going to be coming to class after their full day of work. And as hard as it can be sometimes to do a 6:30 p.m. class, it's unbelievably rewarding to be learning from someone who's actively implementing the things they're teaching you about. For me, it was my global energy transition class, and so he would come into class and be able to share bits from how what we're learning is applied in the field in his day to day, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah, so I have the concentration of global politics and security. So my classes looked a little bit different, but I mostly had classes from Monday to Thursday, and my heavier classes were Wednesday and Monday and Wednesday. And because I work part-time, it was incredibly flexible. Usually you're in class at least for 3 hours per class. Um, and sometimes those hours are broken down 2 different days, or just chucked in one day. So you only have to log in like 3 hours per class a week. And so first this semester we all have 4 classes plus a lab. And then next semester, I think we have 5 classes plus is and yeah.
All right, thank you. And with the program being interdisciplinary, do you feel like you get that perfect intersection of having those science courses, having that background knowledge in environmental science, and then also learning about policy and negotiation?
If I can jump in, absolutely. I will say our science class is absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, the task that our professor has to teach a room of people from all different backgrounds, the scientific foundation to go out and be communicators in the world is an insane task. And she does an unbelievable job. Not only that, but she is so insanely available to us outside of class for helping every question that we may have. I mean, the amount of content that we've covered in just 4 months is wild. I had some science in my undergrad, and it's been amazing how much we've covered in just 4 months compared to science classes I've taken before. So I will say I wasn't sure what this was going to look like trying to train a big group of people, or not a big group, but a diverse group of people to be both science literate and communicators. And in my experience, it's been done incredibly well. And I feel so much more confident just over the last 4 months in both reading and communicating science because of that course, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with everything that Sarah said. And also like for our global politics class for that one, it's you learn about like who are the actors on the international stage who have a stake in these environmental challenges, and then also like in environmental migration, like just a variety of topics. And then we get to write like how to properly communicate these challenges. So, for example, like one assignment we had is writing an op-ed. And so I didn't have experience with that, and a couple of other students in the class didn't either. And so just being able to write these kind of communicative like approach, like this new writing, really also opened my eyes on like what other things are out there that I should be like these hard skills that we should be learning. In addition to like policy memos, so it's been very rewarding being able to bridge those two things together.
I definitely agree with Miriam. One of the cool things also about being in the MS-EIA program is that you have access to all of the foreign service classes. So one of the classes that I had the chance that I think with Miriam had the chance to take was international negotiations, where we got to learn a lot of like the different dynamics that exist within international negotiations, specifically also within like climate negotiations. And so there's so much flexibility in terms of the type of skills that you acquire that are really important when it comes to working around policy. So you don't just leave this program with a background in science, but you also leave this program with effective skills that you can implement into the workplace and really make an impact with later on.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and jump ahead to our next topic, which is going to be working while in the program. So, do any of you currently work currently while in the program? And if so, where are you working, whether it's full-time or part-time? And I guess it's a three-parter. Would you recommend someone to work in the field as well or work while in the program?
Well, I can go. So as a couple of you already know who are in this call, I am a student assistant for the MS-EIA program. So I only work part-time, and I'm just like helping students, like prospective students and like chatting, basically what I'm doing here, but with like a one-on-one. And it's like really flexible. Everyone is amazing. I get to work with Shannon. So it's really nice. And, if I ever need like, a day off for like to work for finals and stuff, they're like, take it. So they're super flexible in that, which I super appreciate because this program is intense. Like there is a lot that goes into it, but it's very rewarding. And I would say that yes, I think you should work at the same time, not full time, maybe just like part time, whether it's like an internship or, something else. I definitely think that like it's doable. You just have to know how to manage your time properly. And I think that's my one big advice too is like time management is key here. And it really is going to save you. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Miriam definitely carries part of the program when she sends out the newsletter, which she didn't mention that she does, but we get a weekly newsletter where we're updated about just helpful information to know, like her things related with MS-CIA. So a big shout out to Miriam and Shannon for that. But I also work and I work part-time for an NGO for Save the Children. And I think it's so cool because sometimes I get to work on projects that relate to what I'm learning in class. And so seeing that is always just really, really cool because I'm getting to see what I'm actively working on. So I'd also recommend it, but I, just like what Miriam said, it's so much better to do it if you can trust, the team that you're working with to be flexible because sometimes you'll have weeks that are heavier with school. Definitely investing more in part-time or internships if you have the opportunity to over full-time positions. But there are students also in the program that are full-time students. But yeah, it's just if you have a flexible team and you're able to make it work with your schedule, I would recommend it as well.
I'll give a little bit of a different angle to this question because I am not working. But I will say, even if you're not working, the opportunities that you have for networking is really incredible through this program. And so that's what I've been doing a lot of. Like this photo right here, I was at a World Bank event for a youth fellowship program put on by the Climate Investment Fund. And it's events like this, and that's what the proximity to DC gets you, is that you're able to network not only within the Georgetown community, but within the wider DC community. So the access that you have to talks and conferences and all these kinds of events is really incredible. So even if you don't find yourself in a position to be working, there's still a lot of opportunities to be pursuing professional development through those kinds of other opportunities.
Perfect. I love how you all had your own spin on the question just to give that different perspective. I love it. Okay, so community within the MS-EIA program. So this question is just how is the community in the program, especially with the cohort? Do you have outside events that you all go to? Is there ways to, enhance that camaraderie between all of you?
I personally feel like we hit the jackpot with the community in this program. I mean, so right now it's very small. I don't know, I think it maybe will get a little bit bigger next year, but it really does feel like a massive group of friends all just kind of going through the same phase of life together. We have a lot of opportunities through the program as well as outside of the program to build that community. And it has made the program is in and of itself very rigorous, but it's also made it very, very enjoyable and very fun to be going through all of this with a really, really supportive and collaborative community. The amount of times that people are willing to help each other or to share insights from their own field is really incredible. I mean, every paper you're writing, assignment you're working on, you have the opportunity to go to your peers and say, "Hey, can I pick your brain on something? Hey, can you help me brainstorm with something?" And that's really in the academic setting. Outside of that, you're really just becoming part of a phenomenal community of friends. So in my mind, the community it's pretty incredible in this program.
Yeah, I can follow up on that. I mean, Sarah pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Um, so I think the community here is just amazing as well. I mean, I see a lot of these people as like lifelong friends, even like already. I mean, it's only been, 4 months and I'm already like, yeah, I can see you at my wedding, like kind of thing. And it's so fun because also like we have game nights, almost every other Friday. And so someone in our program usually hosts and we all go and just have a good time. We also have like happy hours every week, and that's like another space where we can interact with one another outside of the academic setting, and we'll usually have like guest speakers. So there are opportunities for networking as well. But overall, I mean, I don't think I would change anything about like the community. It's just so open and welcoming. And it really does make the program much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's also GroupMe that we have that Kristen, the program coordinator, had told us to get. And so at first, when the program has started, a lot of the social events were like facilitated by the program coordinators with the happy hours and everything. But then very quickly, we were just making the initial step to like connect. And what's so great also is that if you have networking events like the one Sarah had mentioned, and you don't want to go alone, you just like send it to the group chat and you always have someone to go with. And it's very cool to be in the space that with people that kind of see the world in a very similar way as you do, but also completely different. And so that also goes back to what Sarah had mentioned with people just being able to pick the brain of other people and hear, and learn from other people's experiences. And not just like within the program, but with also like our sister programs. I think it's ESM, Environmental Sustainability and Management. And so there's so much opportunity to build community. But yes, I think my hope is that the community will just continue to grow even next year, and be just as tight as this one.
Thank you so much. So we're gonna go into relocating to Washington, D.C. None of y'all lived in Washington, D.C. prior to going to Georgetown, so it is a bit of a change. So I do know that Georgetown University does have graduate housing for their students. So do you live in graduate housing or did you find your own arrangements when you moved here?
Yeah, so I can go first. I am actually living in the graduate housing. So the building is called 55H, and they're just like apartments in downtown DC, literally maybe like a 10-15 minute walk away from the Capitol, which is kind of crazy, living in your own Hallmark movie or whatever. But I think I've chose the graduate housing because I wanted a place where I can meet other Georgetown students. And I am currently in an apartment with three other girls and from a variety of different backgrounds. Like my roommate, she is doing her PhD in chemistry, and I'm like, whoa, like that's crazy, But um, yeah, so I decided to do their housing because I was just like, it's everywhere else is kind of a little out of my budget. And this one at least was a little bit more reasonable And also just being immersed in like DC, like in the city, I think was also something that I was looking for. Not just in Georgetown, because obviously that has its own neighborhood as well, but also just um, going to the events in DC, like the networking is super easy. Also, the apartments are close to the metro, to Union Station, so it's very easy to get everywhere, which is also really nice. And then there's also a Guts shuttle bus that'll take you from the main campus to the apartments. And in addition, it also has like shopper shuttles. So if you need to go to the grocery store or something, like on the weekends, they have buses specifically designed to take you around to like a Trader Joe's or like a Whole Foods, which is really nice as well because, we got to get some groceries somehow.
So I am not living in university housing, but I did use Georgetown resources to get my housing, which were incredibly helpful. So Georgetown has a housing portal almost that you can access once you've been admitted, and you can make a profile on there to find a roommate. And the profile includes things like where you would like to live, how you live, what you're looking for in a roommate. And so I used that and I found my roommate who is in our sister program, the Environment and Sustainability Management. And once I found her, we went and looked for an apartment around Georgetown. The same Georgetown website that you can use for finding a roommate also has resources for finding housing, which is really great. Neither of us were from the area or had any familiarity, so we were a little hesitant. But these Georgetown resources were very affirming that we were looking at reputable places. We ended up finding an apartment it's up in Glover Park, which is just above Georgetown. So I'm about a 25-minute walk from campus, which I do most of the time because it's an absolutely lovely walk. Or there's a university shuttle bus that picks up about 5 minutes from my apartment, and it's a quick little bus. So the Georgetown resources were incredibly helpful when it came to relocating to DC. And there's definitely advantages of both living in the city like Miriam is doing, as well as living closer to Georgetown in the neighborhoods.
So I did not utilize Georgetown housing as one of the ways that I got my apartment. So I'm living off campus and I used a student housing website, which I'll send. It's like there's certain companies that will let you basically like come into DC if you're an intern or a student. And so this is one of them that I utilized and it was so great because I live very close enough to Georgetown, but in the city. So it's right in between both of what Sarah and Miriam are experiencing. And they have really great prices as well. And you end up being roommates with students from like different schools in DC, which I enjoyed. But another alternative is also looking into like Facebook, Georgetown housing groups, or just Georgetown DC. Um, yeah.
All right, great. And then last question for this topic is, what do you like most about living in Washington, D.C.?
I think I would have to say like the accessibility, like being able to utilize the metro. I mean, DC has a great public transportation system. So being able to, use that has been really nice because, you don't always have to be paying for an Uber every time you want to go somewhere. And I will also say that in terms of also like bringing in like hanging out with other people and like the community. We all make an effort, even though we live like, in different areas, we all make an effort to go to the events that are hosted, no matter what. So I think that's also really nice. But I would definitely say the accessibility to public transportation.
Well, Miriam stole my answer. The public transportation is really a treat. So I'll say the other thing is just that there's always stuff going on in the city, and that's really great. So there's always events to go to, things to do when you need a break from classes. I mean, you're in a bustling city where you have access to things both for professional development and academic purposes, but also for personal purposes and just having enjoyable weekends and an enjoyable life. So that's really been a treat living in DC.
Right, sounds good. And then I do have a fun fact that 98% of DC residents are within a 9-minute walk of a park. So that's really great. DC does have extensive greenery throughout the city. So definitely take advantage of that when you do come over here to Washington, DC. And then this is our last topic of the panel, which is you have any advice for prospective students that are interested in looking to enroll into the MS-EIA program?
My advice would be to apply 100%. I think, as we talked about, one of the really cornerstones of this program is that it's incredibly interdisciplinary, and so is the student body. One of the things that makes this program so incredible is that people are coming from all different background, all different life experiences, and a lot of the education happens in within that community. I mean, some of my most fruitful discussions have been with my peers who are coming from backgrounds in public health or in finance or in business, in gender studies. And so I would say, while this program is very focused on environment and international affairs, all different backgrounds have a lot of value in these discussions. So don't have any hesitancy, apply. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
And definitely Sarah stole what I was going to say. So I also think that, just apply. There's no harm in, not applying. So I think that one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give is also just be yourself, really, when you're, filling out like your personal statement, or if you do the diversity essay, which I know is an optional. Um, so just really answer the question, how is this program really going to help you further advance in your career? Um, because I think that's one of just the main things that, they're looking for is how is this program going to help you in the long run? And also, like Sarah mentioned, like your background, I think that one is going to be like your biggest like the biggest thing that you can talk about is also like, coming from a like a different how do I say this? Like, oh my gosh, brain freeze. But regardless, yes, just talking about your background. Like, for example, like I'm a first generation Latina student, I think I really resonate with that. And so bringing my opinion and my perspective to the table really does help, especially in like in our discussions and everything. So I think that's what I would say.
All right, thank you so much for all joining our current student panel. I cannot thank you enough. I really appreciate all of the insight you're able to give to me personally, as well as everyone that was on this call. It's definitely so helpful. So we're going to open it up for some questions. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask our panelists, or you could drop the questions in the chat. I'm going to go through the questions now. Let's see. Okay. So the first question is, what is your typical class size?
So it varies. I would say at least my biggest class is the one that we all have together, which is the entire program. So there's about 28 of us. But outside of that, the rest of my classes, I would say are around maybe 15. They're pretty small.
Yeah, I would say the same as well. Although I do have this one class that there's only three people in, and I was really surprised that the class, stayed. But like I really like it because there's also opportunity to like really connect with the professor, which is really nice. But other than that anomaly, my classes are usually around like 15 to 20.
Okay, sounds good. It's a good size. You're able to, speak with everyone in the class, also connect with the professor as well. Sounds good. All right, the next question is going to be the admission rate for the program, especially for Africans. So currently, right now, 17% of our cohort are international students, When it comes to the admissions, it is very competitive. It is a graduate program here at Georgetown University, which is why we do create as many opportunities to speak with current students, as well as myself when it comes to helping making your application more competitive for applying for the program. So what's really helpful about that is you are able to speak with me personally, as well as Miriam. You can schedule one-on-one virtual calls just to go through different aspects of the program. When it comes to the different components, I'm able to go through one-on-one. That way, that's really helpful for you. Okay, Georgette said, first, thank you each for taking the time to share with us today. Did you face any specific academic challenge you weren't prepared for or expecting? And any words of wisdom to help anyone who is accepted into the program next year? It's a great question.
That is a really good question. Something I was semi-expecting, but you can also never be prepared for, is the imposter syndrome coming into this program. I mean, in Georgetown as a whole, as well as in this program, you're surrounded by a lot of really incredible people. And as amazing as that is, the imposter syndrome for me definitely has set in a couple of times, especially in a program like this where it's so diverse and interdisciplinary that everyone has really different specialized knowledge in areas. Um, so I think it's definitely a process of realizing and recognizing your own value in the program. If you got in for a reason. You have something to say and something to contribute. But for me, at least, that was a challenge that I had to work through first coming into the program.
Yeah, I think Sarah pretty much covered it. I also experience a lot of like imposter syndrome in terms of like, and am I really here in terms of like, did I deserve to be here? And I think that's something that I've dealt with before. And it's also been really nice to be able to talk to people like Sarah, who's also experiencing the same thing. So you are not alone in this. I think that that's one of the great things about being in this community is that you never have to do these things alone. Um, and you can always talk to anyone who is experiencing the same things you are, and you can just talk through it, which is really nice and helpful.
All right, great. The next question is regarding the SFS Career Center. Is there advice specifically geared towards careers in the US, or is there advice that's helpful for finding careers outside the United States as well? Great question. So for the SFS Career Center, they do have a resource called InterStride. So that is for people that are interested in jobs overseas. So they help when it comes to tailoring your resume and navigating job opportunities outside of the US. And aside from that, for the Career Center, all of the industry coaches have overseas experience. So it's not completely tailored to the United States. SFS is very big when it comes to helping with international jobs as well. And they also have what's called Career OS. Great tool. It tailors your resume when it comes to the desired job you are looking for, and it has over 500 foreign service communities and organizations. So it's over 500 foreign service communities. That way, you're able to apply to so many different jobs, so many different avenues, and you can use that networking to build that bridge of finding jobs in the different countries you are looking for. So it looks like you are looking for London or Toronto. Definitely great question. So as a student, you can go to the career coaches and they can help you with that. All right.
If I can jump in real quick on that, Shannon.
Absolutely.
Just to expand on what you've said, in adding on that my experience has been exactly that. Every career coach that I've met with, that is part of the conversation of like, where are you looking to work? Very much with the assumption that a lot of people are looking to work overseas that are in SFS. So that is really built in not only to the resources that Shannon's talking about, but it's kind of inherently part of a lot of the advice and services that you're getting within the School of Foreign Service, which is really incredible.
All right, great. Next question is, do I have a link to the one-on-one calls? Because I'm currently recording, I'm not able to exit to add it. But what you will do is go to the events tab on our website, and it'll be an ability for you to speak with someone about the program. So you could just speak with me and then you can schedule on my calendar. So my calendar is up to date. You can schedule anytime and I'm open to having a one-on-one chat with you. And then Miriam already dropped hers. Perfect. So if you have any questions in regards to a current student, if you want that perspective, definitely talk to Miriam about that. And let's see. How was the program supported? Oh, I'm sorry, it keeps moving. How has the program supported students who come from diverse academic backgrounds? Have the core courses helped bridge any knowledge gaps? Oh, great question. So for the current students, I know you all have an environmental science background, I believe. Do you feel like your students or your classmates who don't have that background are able to still be supported within the classes?
Yeah. So I think that, like for example, in our one of our core courses, like the science class that we take, like the professor really starts with like just key principles, right? Like introducing the concept, and then they gradually get more advanced, which I think makes it super accessible for those who don't come from a science background, but at the same time, it still engages people with that science background. You know, and so I think yes, it does like you don't have to have a science background to be able to understand the topics that are taught.
And to build onto that, there's also a lot of support for varying levels of need when it comes to jumping into these topics. I know, for instance, one of our peers comes from a gender studies background, and so they've been taking advantage of office hours to, get a little bit of extra insight into the science. So there really is an understanding coming into it on the part of all of our professors that people are coming in from different places and they're very intent on getting everyone to that shared knowledge level. So the extra support is there if you find yourself needing it. Um, the other thing is that I would say that supportive community also really helps with this because people are very, very willing to share their knowledge and insights and help people in some areas and then get help in others. So there's a lot of collaboration that really aids in um, people from diverse backgrounds kind of working together to build up different knowledge bases.
All right. And we have one more question, which is, do you know what the capstone projects are this year? And if so, what are each of you choosing?
So I can answer that question. We don't know what our capstone projects are going to be this year. I think a lot of us are really excited to find out, and which will be in January. So in January, we also take a capstone seminar, and it's basically like a professional development workshop, which will be preparing us for our capstone in the summer. And we'll also be finding out like who our teams are. Um, Choosing from a list of sponsors, like who we want to work for, like what organization, um, piques our interest. So that is not going to happen until I think late January, early February, around there. So unfortunately, we cannot tell you which organization we'll be choosing because we don't know yet.
Yep, no problem. Stay tuned for more information. All right. And what opportunities for financial aid and support are there, especially for international students? So, for the MS-EIA program, we do offer partial merit-based scholarships. And for those, when you apply for the program, they do have a button on the application asking if you want to be considered. So all you have to do is check yes. So you don't have to submit any additional paperwork or any other documents to apply for those merit-based scholarships. We do not offer full ride scholarships, but we do highly recommend looking at external resources when it comes to applying for scholarships. So we do have a list of them on our website, and they are characterized. So we do have some for U.S. Citizens that they can apply for, and we also have some for international students as well. You could take advantage of those resources. And just wanted to know, did the Miriam, Sarah, did you apply for external scholarships? Did you happen to do that when you applied for the program?
And no, I did not apply to any external scholarships. At the time, I was also taking 27 units, so I was very like busy. So I wasn't able to apply to any external scholarships.
I was not either. A little bit of an impromptu decision for me to apply to this program. But if you have the time and capacity to, I would highly recommend. There's a lot of really great resources out there to look into.
Okay, great. Yeah, definitely take advantage of those resources now. That's what we're here to help you for. And if you have any questions about the scholarship on our website, you can always reach out to me or send us an email. Next question is, how did you know that this program was the right program for you? I like this one.
I like this one too. Um, so when I was thinking about applying to grad school, I had this idea in my head of what my dream program would be, and I was looking all over the place, high and low. And when I found this program, my jaw nearly dropped at how perfect of a match it was for what I was looking for. I wanted a program that would give me more of a science foundation. I wanted to be able to communicate really well with scientists as a policymaker. I wanted a program that would set me off in an international career. I really wanted to work overseas. I also wanted something that would be 1 year. I was starting to work. I was really loving work, and I didn't want to be away from that for too long. And then I wanted something that would be in a major city that I could see myself living in afterwards. And looking at programs, that seemed like a lot to ask of any program. And it felt very miraculous when I came upon this one, and it was really everything I had been looking for, even before I know that it existed. And I think, like, Shannon has said, and it says online, this program fills a really specific niche within this field that's emerging right now. And so if that's really what you're looking for, if that's the area you've had your eye set on, this is a really unique program to set off on a career at that junction.
Yeah, very similar to Sarah. I think when I stumbled upon this program, I was like, this, like light bulb, like this is perfect because it combined both of my majors together. And it's something that I wanted to do as a career, like in the long term, like just working in energy and like sustainability, and being able to implement that on the international stage. Especially, another thing that pulled me in was the hard skills that we'd be learning. So for example, in our science class, we're learning R, which is like a computer program. Um, and then you also have options to learn GIS and remote sensing. And then, the class that I'm taking right now, international negotiation, like in that class, like we had like a 7 week simulation, and you're basically the class is split in two and you negotiate on a set of issues. And learning the theory and being able to implement it in that simulation was really cool. So just being able to have those hard skills. I think that also is what cemented me was that this program offers that choice of being like it's not just the soft skills but the hard skills as well, and something that you will use in your career. Um, and that's why it's one of the reasons why I chose this program.
All right, thank you so much for answering that question. And then our last question is, when does a mission decision start or take start for fall 2025? So, great question. That goes into our next tab. So, we do have rounds for our application deadlines. Our first one did pass, which was December 1st. So, right now we are in round two for January 15th, 2025 deadline. So, if you apply by this deadline, then that's priority deadline for the merit-based scholarship consideration. So, that's for the merit-based scholarships I was speaking about earlier. So, if you apply by these deadlines, you will receive an answer in early March. Oh, no problem, Naomi. I'm glad you're joining us again. And can I change my area of concentration after admission? Absolutely. So you are able to choose one when you are applying for the program, but when you get into the program, you have the opportunity of speaking with our director about your field and your interest to go into, and he can specialize and help you when it comes to finding the exact niche you want to go into. So you are able to change your concentration after being enrolled into the program. All right, so we're getting close on time. So if there are no other questions. Thank you so much. All right, if there's no other questions, right here is our website, and underneath is our email. If you have any other questions about the program, you can send it over to our email. You can schedule one-on-one chats with myself as well as with Miriam if you want that one-on-one conversation about either the application or just the program itself. But otherwise, thank you all so much for joining our current student panel. And thank you for our panelists for taking the time to be here to speak with our prospective students. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And before everyone leaves, I'm sorry, has anyone started on their applications yet? So if you could drop in the chat if you have started or submitted already. Okay, I see a yes in here. Yes. Okay, great. Sounds good. Definitely keep in mind the January 15th deadline. Message me if you have any questions about it. Oh, we already have a submitted application. Great. All right. Speak to you all soon. Thank you so much.